Hello, everyone. Before we start tonight, the Office Hours family had a terrible loss today. We found out one of our originals, John Preto, who had been ill for a while, passed away today. And in his honor, we're going to take just a brief moment of silence here to think about our dear colleague, brother, and friend. There will be more on the show tomorrow about that. But for right now, we're in a different show. So welcome one and all to another Office Hours special show. Tonight, we're talking about what's new in the AV world, gadgets, gears, and trends. We're going to be looking at some of the cool gear that the panelists have been using this last year to improve their streams and shows. This is hardware and software that you might find useful for your productions. We have a great guest panel tonight, including some of our Office Hours regulars. First, Jeffrey Powers is here. And I put Jeffrey first because he is not only a panelist tonight, but he's really spearheaded contacting everyone and organizing this entire show. So, Jeffrey, thanks and welcome.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
Next on the panel is Guy Cochran. Guy has been, he has a huge understanding of the product space since he essentially ran an online store for many years. He's also one of the Office Hours deep web and cloud experts. So, Guy, welcome.
Hey, thanks. I love that introduction. It's a pleasure to be here amongst my peers, and really devastated to hear about John Preto. It's one of those things where, it makes you realize just how close we've all become, because I was looking at some pictures and, hanging out with him in Vegas is one of those things where we meet in person and we get to see each other and become lifelong friends. And it was great to have him on the panel all those years and share the time.
Absolutely. Yeah, he was engaged with production as any other person, and with this Office Hours experiment as anyone else I know. So I'm sure he would want us just to go in and do the best show we can. And we're hurting a little, but we are going to soldier through. What we're doing today is looking at things. So I'm going to start with Jeffrey Powers since his fingers are all over this show. I'm going to head for you first. Is there a product or something that you want to talk about as we kick this off?
Well, you forgot about Jeff.
Jeff who? Oh, Jeff Keithley. Jeff Keithley is sneaking in there. You were hiding down in my corner. Jeff, how are you? Oops, I'm getting a big smile, but not a
better internet.
I didn't mean to take you.
Much better internet days.
Yeah.
We're struggling today. We're on the struggle button.
Okay, Jeff is obviously in a hotel room somewhere, so we're going to keep our fingers crossed that internet doesn't throw us any curves that we're not expecting. So now that I've done that, I'm going back to Jeffrey Powers. Jeffrey, dive in.
Absolutely. So the first thing I'm going to show you is something I learned about in the last couple weeks. They've been around for about a year now, and they're trying to get a good presence in the United States. And this is a product, we're always looking for graphics, and not only graphics, but also to be able to create and run graphics from wherever you are remotely. And so I ran into this this company, and I did a video over on my channel, and I love it so much. I've just been really getting immersed into this software as a service. And the best part is that there's a free level that does a lot, and then the pro level's like $1.99 a month or something. It's like super cheap. So what I'm talking about is this product, this item right here. It's called Uno. It's over at overlays.uno, and what it is a series of graphics that you could set up, that you can run, and you can also send it to somebody. So I could send the web page to Guy, and I could be controlling graphics on his screen if I wanted to. I could set up graphics here at the house and then set up Stream Deck buttons on my remote machine and then go wherever. This doesn't need to be running anywhere. It doesn't need to be running locally. It's there. It's all up on the cloud, and it creates a lot of great graphics. Like for instance, I've got on this right here, you'll see a little bug right on the bottom that has my socials. I set this up for a couple weeks ago. And then, of course, I just set this one up, which is a great way to kind of go back and forth, do a little, like with the rundown. Actually, David Paskin does something similar with this. So that, you can show what topic is being talked about and everything like that. Let's get that off the screen really quick. Let's show you the interface a little bit more. So this is the front page where you can choose no, this is the front page, excuse me. And then of course, once it goes in, when you go in there, you can go into the home, you can go to the library where you have tons of graphics to choose from lower thirds to cards to score boxes to everything like that. And then when you go in, you create a few of them, like for instance, that talking points area. I'm going to go into that. It's just going to be a simple web page, and there's the interface right there. If I want to turn on the talking points, I hit that button right there. Boom, the talking points are going to show up, and unfortunately they're showing up on the screen too. So let me turn that off really quick off of here. So now I can control this from anywhere. So let's say it's my pick, so I got to move the slider over to Jeffrey's pick. There we go. And then when it's Guy's turn, I can switch it back over to Guy. And I can change all the colors. I can change all the information in there. This is all JSON backend, so you can actually create your own graphics. So if something doesn't really work for you in the graphic lists, you can make your own and be able to send it there. You have the web page, which will send the graphics, and then you have this this key and the token. The token will actually be how you set this up on your Stream Deck. So you'll go into the Stream Deck. They have an Uno Graphics Stream Deck button system. You'll put in the token and you'll tell it what you want it to do. Do you want it to show, or do you want it to hide? Do you want it to, and there's many different options depending on how they have this set up. But I can then go in and set this all up. Preview, I could do tons of different graphics and then send all the overlays to whatever show, and I can send it in green screen, I can send it in alpha channel, I can send it many different ways. So if you need to put it into your vMix, your OBS, your even the hardware switchers, like I have the Director One I'm going to be talking about, I can actually bring those web pages in there and create graphics from there. It's all going to pull from the web. The only small little downfall is that when you first pull up the graphic, it's going to take about a couple seconds for it to figure out where it is and everything like that. But once it loads up, then every time you close the graphic, come back in, it's going to pop up only unless you actually change something in the graphic, like a name or text or anything like that. And that's Uno.
Is this software as a service or a website? How do people get a hold of it?
This is software as a service. It's over on overlays.uno. And yeah, it's at that, which is a really odd URL, but overlays.uno, and we'll put it in the show notes so you know where to go. But it's absolutely free to get the basic graphic overlays, and you get some cloud space. But then, of course, if you pay for the pro plan, then you get, I think it's like 100 gigabytes of space where you can put in images and more stuff. So let's say you have if you're doing like a soccer game, a football game, and you have all the characters or all the players on a list, you can put their pictures in there as well.
Excellent. Guy, you're up next. What are you interested in these days?
It's becoming more and more of a thing where we want to bring in remote guests, and Zoom's made it entirely possible, taking away a lot of what happened with Skype. In the olden days, when we used Skype, we'd use it with what was called a TX box, Skype TX box, or a NewTek V4000, I believe was the model number. These things were $3,000-$4,000 to do what I'm going to show you how we can do for a lot less money. So at IBC this year, they're showing something called Zoom ISO Cloud. I'm going to show you just the normal version that you can get for $100 for the year. So basically what we're going to see is how we can take somebody out of Zoom and push them into either record or into a live switcher. So I want you to think of this like before we had a satellite truck, or we had to somehow get that feed from a remote location to another. But when we got to the other side, what did we do with it, and how did we eject it? And if we wanted to just record it for later, how did we do that? So this software that I'm going to be showing you is running just on a $550 computer that you could pick up at your local Apple store, your Best Buy. It's not a super powerhouse machine. Well, it is a super powerhouse machine, because when I look at what from my M1 to my M2 to this M4, it's like night and day how fast this little machine is. It's super speedy. And the other thing that we've used in the past to do this type of thing was Zoom Rooms. So Zoom Rooms is $40 a month, plus you still need to do some finagling to do what I'm going to show you. Over the last month or so, I've been doing a bunch of records for a client's ad campaign. And so I had to really hit using Zoom ISO with the ATEM. So I'm going to show you this workflow because I think it's valuable to those of you out there that want to see how do you do this. It's one of those things where it's like, man, before I used to have to go get a satellite truck and go get 200 grand worth of gear. Now I'm going to show you just off the shelf, just pretty basic stuff. Let's jump. Go ahead.
Okay,
Bill.
great demo.
So here's the basics of what we're going to see. We're going to see a Mac Mini M4. Now attached to that is a Sonnet box, which is connected via Thunderbolt, and inside that box is a DeckLink PCIe card, which is called the DeckLink Quad 2. That device has eight slots essentially for SDI, and those could be ins or outs. And then we've got the ATEM Extreme ISO. So to get Zoom ISO, you just download it from their website. When you install it, it'll look something like this. Now, because we've been doing a lot of this type of testing and wanted to create a safe place for people to play, we actually put up a 24-hour meeting, a Zoom meeting where anybody can do what I'm about ready to show you with some mock-up Zoom participants. So if you just Google search for office hours global Zoom test, you'll hit this link right here, and there is a link to the meeting, and it'll give you, if you click on this link, it'll launch Zoom essentially. And I'm going to just grab this link up here, which is the meeting ID. So this is the user ID, the meeting ID and the password. And now in Zoom ISO, I can go ahead and join a meeting. So this is, minimize that one. This is what Zoom ISO looks like. You could see here that we've got the output name, the mode selection, and then the output. So here we're going DeckLink Quad, but you could see that we could also go SRT, we could go NDI, or we could go Siphon. So if you wanted to just push your people, your participants or those feeds into a popular app like OBS, Wirecast, or something like that, some other method of recording, there's Softron tools to record as well. You can output that way. So I'm going to join a meeting. So under here, we're going to go down to the Zoom ISO, what do you call that? Settings, where we can join with the link. So I'm going to go ahead and join with link, and I'm just going to paste in that meeting ID. And I'm going to go ahead and join this meeting. And you'll see that there's these mock-up, these are just fake people. It's, these aren't real. These are just mock-up people, but they are individuals that you can now pull into your Zoom ISO. So once you have joined a meeting, you'll see that you can pull down these selections, and there's Annika, there's Elena, there's, we'll skip me. And so we're just going to grab Luis, Michelle. Oh, we're not going to grab that person. And there's two different ways that you could do that. There's on the top here, we have output, advanced audio, and participant management. I like to just go across the board like this and assign outputs that way. It just makes it easy. So I can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And now the thing that you need to do is ask for permission. So if this is not your meeting, when you click enabled, it's going to ask the host, and it says, because we have an automation on this meeting to automatically approve you to record. So it's ramping up. You could see 320 by 180. And if I open up my ATEM, so again, we've done this part where we've done this part where we've joined a meeting. Now we're going to go over to our ATEM Extreme ISO. So this is, a lot of you may recognize this software, and you can have a webcam output now. So I have my webcam output, and I could say this is program, or I could say it's multi-view. I'll go to multi-view, and if I wanted to see it, you can just open up QuickTime Player or something like that. I have another way of seeing it, which is through an NDI output. So this is basically what we're seeing now. And what's powerful about the ATEM Extreme ISO is that we can record if you have an SSD drive. And actually, I just did this for Bill the other night. I was helping him out. He needed some records. And this is, again, why this is pertinent, because I've just been seeing more and more requests for this. Because if you have a 720 or a 1080 account, it's nice to be able to get these feeds and have them in the highest quality. And being that this is hardware, sure, it's software, but we're recording to hardware. It's been really solid. And having done a bunch of interviews like this where we're capturing these, and some of these are celebrity clients that we're doing records for, so it's crucial. So we actually have 2 of these set up, one in LA and one here up in Seattle. And when we enter into these Zoom meetings, we're dual recording, just in case something happens. We've got it in 2 spots. So I want to show you where that record is. It's pretty basic in here. It's, if you have the extreme version of the ATEM, it'll be right here under output. And then it's as simple as saying, name the file. And here's my drive. It's a 1 terabyte Samsung drive. And I'm going to ISO record all inputs. And it's just a matter of hitting record. And now it's recording. The interesting thing about this is it's not only just recording, but if you were cutting along, it's creating a DaVinci Resolve file as well. So you can open this up, and whatever you did in DaVinci or in the ATEM while you were live, you could then go ahead and edit and finesse. Maybe you're off a cut or something like that. You can go ahead and finesse those a little bit. But I think this is super powerful as Zoom is now becoming more mainstream. And I mean, at IBC, they're showing other ways of doing this in the cloud, but you can do this with some pretty inexpensive hardware. All in, I'm probably, what, $1,500 for the ATEM, $500 for the computer, the chassis with the quad card, like what, $4,000 maybe, somewhere in there. But to have somebody do this for you, there's services out there where you can, in fact, this is an idea for a lot of you out there that want to start businesses. This can be a business you could offer to record, or you can offer to help archive somebody else's meetings by using this type of hardware, and it's just rock solid.
Yeah, I'm pretty amazed with that myself, because I did a little bit of work with that with vMix, and of course you can use vMix Wirecast, as you said, but I've been working with a local community group, and every other Monday I've been out there and we're playing on a nice big television studio, and we're looking at new ways to do things, to bring people in and everything like that. And I'm very excited to actually try and get this set up. So I'm going to probably be calling you, Guy, a little bit on that.
I can do a bit of a testimonial for it, because I had a whole bunch of actors in a big webcast the other evening about 10 o'clock at night. Guy hopped on and was generous enough to work with me, and I was astonished at the audio refeed I got. It was literally completely silent. There was no noise between anybody speaking. And the speaking points where I was looking at the remote contributions, I swear, I think I could have cut it right into the program that I was doing. That's how clean it was. So it's a really good system. A couple of things I got to say here. Number one, if you have questions to ask about anything you see here, don't forget, we are running, and we encourage your questions in the show just like we do on the regular show. So if you're in Mokana and you want to toss questions in, please do so. When I saw gadgets and gizmos, I immediately thought I just wanted to spend a little tiny bit of time. I was so impressed on the show when we saw from the floor at IBC one of Blackmagic's new programs, new products, and that was the dock they just introduced, this little Blackmagic Camera Pro dock that I really got excited about. It's one of my next purchases, I think. And the thing that I like so much about it is that it's really going to make a big difference in iPhone style recording rings and bringing them into the future. It has a lot of capabilities, one of which was a little bit of one of the themes out of the show, which is the ability to record ProRes RAW out of the iPhone. It also does Blackmagic RAW and add external microphones and audio monitors. It also has high-speed buses, so you can add additional storage and things like that. And this is just making it easier and easier to deal with these kind of remote sorts of things. I was really particularly excited by that ProRes RAW possibility and the fact that it kind of works into an ecosystem. And so it's really going to make things, I think, easier for me to deal with over the coming time. Now, there have been products a little bit like it. I was reminded of the Condor Blue Dock that we saw, but that just kind of tells me that this is definitely moving mobile recording into a more robust and more dependable realm. And even though I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the other cameras that I have seen that have been swirling around here, it's just making me more and more confident in my choice that most of the things I'm doing for quick pickup shots are happening on these mobile rigs, and they're getting better and better and better very fast. So, Jeffrey, did you have something else you wanted to look into
Yeah,
here?
well, let's talk about this for a second
Sure.
because it's amazing how we're changing. And this morning when we did office hours, the Q&A section, there was a question about a document that came out in 2019 of what to expect in 2030 for production and for how to put together a show. And of course, the one thing that we talked about is, the fact that they didn't really update it for COVID. They didn't update it for AI, and they definitely didn't update it for for the iPhone. And there's a lot of things coming out. We had small rig last year, or not small rig. Oh, I can't think of the brand name, but we had the little device that you could put around the iPhone and or above the iPhone, and bring in the HDMI and bring it from the Atomos. That's where I was going with that. Atomos has got their device. There's new devices coming out every day now that you can actually attach hard drives and other devices to it. So to have a dock like this, being able to capture your stuff for a phone. And I hope that Android's going to start catching up on this game, because I think that this is a real good, big game changer when it comes to production. Because especially since when we were in COVID, I was using Android phones over iOS phones to do remote kits. And now I can do an iPhone for a remote kit just as easily and have more functionality out of it. Or I can take it on a shoot and create a movie, like 28 Days Later did a movie off of all iPhones, and then when they did 28 Years Later, I think they still did iPhones on that. So we're going to see a lot of this type of production and a lot of cool items from Blackmagic, from everybody else there, and I think that's amazing.
Making is going to get, I said unquestionably, mobile filmmaking is going to get more and more important. There's still a place for the larger cameras, and I'll talk about them a little bit later. But right now, Jeffrey, do you have another topic you wanted to dive into?
Absolutely. I'm going to talk about the hardware, some hardware that I've been playing with ever since about March. And actually, I've been playing with this even before then, because back in 2024 at NAB, Majuel came out with the Majuel Director Mini. And then they also licensed it out to OBSBOT, who did the Director, or it was basically called the Talent, but it's basically the same box. Well, in March, Majuel came out with the Director One, which is an amazing box. And I'm going to be using I used the Mini at CES to do a 2K. I've been working on that box and bringing it here, but this is going to be the core to that, and that is the Director Mini. Now, the Director Mini is a hardware switching device, similar to the YOLO box, similar to, I think there's another one out there, I can't think of the name, but anyway, this has the ability to do a lot of different things. Right now, I'm doing NDI. You're seeing me and my main camera in here, wireless, through the Wi-Fi section there, and you're seeing just basic shot right here. But as I bring it up, I can actually switch scenes. So here is my over the camera shot coming down here. And then of course the split shot right here. 3 NDI inputs can be put into this device, which is great. Plus I have a whole bunch of graphics options. I have everything else. That I was talking about the Uno graphics. I can actually bring in those Uno graphics right there. It's hard to see there, but that's a little countdown clock down in the corner. And I can bring that in simply just through bringing up a graphics web page, but it does have a whole host of different graphics, from countdown timers to lower thirds and everything like that. You can connect it up in multiple ways. There's Ethernet, there's Wi-Fi, there's 4G, which I don't have the antennas on right now. And then you can also bond the connections. So if you are out and about and you really need to get this shot, this multicam shot sent out to different company or different productions, then you can do it from there. And of course, this can also be set up as a confidence monitor. So with the confidence monitor, you'll be able to just basically see what's going on, and then you can like get on comms or something like that and say, hey, you know, I'm in California and I'm watching this through somewhere else, because SRT is also available. SRT, MP, and NDI. So you could do an SRT feed in and see what's going on a production shoot, and say, hey, you need to fix this, or be on the production shoot and have some cowboy handles on the side and be able to just view and make your editorial changes from there, or opinions or whatever, and go from there. So this can be multiple things. It can be just a straight up monitor. It can be a backup device. This can actually record 2 of your cameras so it's a 2 camera ISO, and bring it in from there. And it's got a lot more that I can't, there's just way too much to touch on right now, but it's just an amazing box. I'm going to be taking it out to CES and some of the other shows that I'm going to get those 2 to 3 camera shots without having to have a booth.
And smaller. It was a theme at IBC. I think it's going to be a theme for the rest of our entire careers. We have a question that came in. Vic Hernandez in Springfield, Missouri wondered what's new in the Insta360 and OBSBOT type of camera space, and I think I'll leave it open for both Jeffrey and Guy know a good little bit about these. One of you guys want to wander in about anything that you might have heard of in the last little bit of time?
Didn't see anything new. The one that I did see that we haven't discussed would be the BirdDog announced a new camera that it's expensive. It's $6,995. So we just went from, but it nobody's talking about this thing. It's a micro four thirds size sensor. So, you know, the UE150 has a 1-inch sensor, and now we're going all the way up above that, and it's a 40x zoom in HD, so you can reach across a ballroom and get you know, above torso. You could get even reactions, you know, just ahead. So, but Jeffrey, do you know which OBSBOT that he's referring to?
I know that they've been focusing mostly on the Tail 2 and those types of devices. You showed off the OBSBOT USB or HDMI to USB this morning, and they also have the HDMI to NDI, and they have several different versions, but I think they're just focusing on updating the hardware and software right now. I did not hear of anything. I could be wrong. Of course, I wasn't really following all the IBC news information, but I would have probably seen an email from them, and I did not.
That's one of the things about the big shows. The flood of press releases once you're in a press list is just unbelievable, and it's really easy for things to slip by a little bit. Guy, do you have another device or thought you want to talk about?
Yeah, on the Insta360 line, I mean, the Link is an amazing camera. It does have the same sensor, the 1/2-inch sensor that's in the new one that just came out, but they dropped the price dramatically. So when I bought mine, it was $299, and I was like, oh, it's a, you know, Brio on steroids. It just has so much more clarity, and this one actually moves. You know, you can pan, tilt, and zoom on it. And the new price of it's $129. So it's pretty amazing that you can now get something that used to cost $299 not too long ago for $129. I don't know if they're blowing them out and that's just a temporary price, but that is a lot of camera for the money, especially if you did want to do, if you could get cameras really close to people. I saw somebody doing a 3-camera shoot with 3 of those, and I was just, because the quality looks so dang good, and they're just using, you know, some basic software like actually it was just OBS. So it was a school, and they were green screening off that, and I was like shocked. And they actually used ChatGPT to make a really nice looking background. So they had a picture that was 4:3, and they asked ChatGPT to fill it out to make it 16:9. And it was just a high school class, but it looked like broadcast. I mean, because that sensor is so dang good on that thing for $129, and they were doing multiple angles. I mean, just crazy. From when we had VHS in my day, in my high school video production class, it's like come so far.
We had 640 by 480, and we liked it.
We liked it.
Hey, there has been a lot. In fact, the next thing I was going to talk a little bit about, I just was looking at some of the stuff, and I'm always interested in cameras because I spent so much of my career shooting. So I wanted to take a quick look at just a few small camera trends that has kind of come out over the wire. One of the big announcements was Canon C50 cinema camera. Now, these are much more expensive than the kind of small cameras we're talking about. But it was interesting to me that they've changed a lot of the technology in it. And one of the things that I noticed, can you see the number of buttons? Look at these. This is like 8, 9, and 10 over here. I guess there's something like 15 buttons on this thing. None of them are fixed to anything. You can assign those buttons to what you want. So it's a whole new kind of world for me in terms of thinking about that. There's all sorts of things about this. This is not 3,650 euros, which is just over 4,000 US right now, but they're calling it the smallest and lightest cinema camera that is out there. Now, that's a little bit of marketing hyperbole, but there are a couple of things that caught my attention. First of all, dual aspect ratio recording. You can shoot 17:9 or 9:16 or 1:1 square. It's got a 34.2 megapixel camera, and it's doing like 7144 by 4790. So there's a lot of pixels in there. And they even have little accessories. You can use it for some still cameras. I don't think out of the box it has some sort of sync, but I think this is possible to do with one of their add-ons. But the thing that really hit me was their really class of camera, the kind of influencer type things. In fact, the next camera I wanted to take a quick look at was also announced there. This is out of Nikon and Red, and this is just a few days old that they announced it. This is the ZR6K full frame. It is substantially smaller and a bit cheaper than the one you just saw. So they're pushing it towards people who are doing this kind of cinema stuff. They always have these kind of big build out rigs in literally doing cinema style photography. But this was really interesting to me because one of the things that these have is things like Genlock. They have dual ISO. They're all adaptable to EF mounts and things like that. I mean, this particular one ships with a 50mm 1.4 lens, and it's under $2,800. So $2,746 is the US retail price. I don't know what it'll be on the street, but it's lightweight. It is a 6K full frame camera. And by the way, that Canon camera was a 7K camera, so they're packing more pixels into everything. They're arguing that it's similar to the Sony's with very high precision AI assisted autofocus. And this one's shooting in a new flavor of REDCode RAW, but it also has ProRes RAW, which was interesting to me. For a long time, Apple was kind of out there on their own with just a couple of vendors who were supporting Blackmagic with that first little dock I showed. That's the new both the new little phone archives things and these new cameras from Blackmagic are working in ProRes RAW. The audio is now 32-bit float on some of these. And so there's just a lot of change that's happening in this space that I wasn't expecting this year at IBC that were announced, and just in general that's making, I think, a lot of tools available for people at all ends. I mean, these little pan tilt zooms are better than ever. And up here, you're seeing things like this idea of a single camera shooting horizontal and vertical, and having enough pixel density to shoot square aspect ratios so that you can pick after the fact for very fast, and that square aspect ratio can be live out, which means contribution onto the web immediately can be flexible in terms of being able to frame things properly, so that if it's going to social and it's going to be vertical kind of weighted, you're not away from that and having to go and post process anything. You can do it all kind of in real time. So those are interesting things that I've seen.
And just to add on to that, Bill, for the folks that are watching, if you want to play with some of that footage before you think about buying one of those Nikon ZRs, they actually put some of that red cine files on their site. So walk it through DaVinci, walk it through Final Cut, whatever you use to edit with, and see how your computer handles it, because the latitude that you could pull. So this is the big deal about these cameras is, so Nikon bought red. The reason why they bought them was the codec. And so to be able to get into this universe of having more color than you've ever known what to do with. I mean, I remember back in my day, we had 420 and we liked it. You know, it was one of those things where it was so limited, and I didn't even understand, you know, how bad that it was until later in life, when people started showing me 422 and SDI and the ramping and some of the skies where you would see like banding in the gradation from a blue sky and things like that. So you get so much more color richness out of these modern codecs. And the other thing is with ProRes RAW, the other announcement last week was that DaVinci Resolve now has ProRes RAW in the latest version. So a lot of announcements that have happened in this last week. It's an exciting time, and the speed, who knows how expensive that computer was, but he's working with immersive footage, which is on a whole nother level. Like, so what we're dealing with, you know, $2,000 for a computer. My first one, my I don't know, my power computing, I think I spent $7,000 on my power computing.
I had a Mac 2 FX. I think the thing ran out about $16,000 by the time I had all the graphic cards and things like that. And 2 years later, it wasn't a doorstop. It was still doing work for us, but that did not go well in terms of an investment for me. I also wanted to say, you know, you're just seeing a lot of these new form factor cameras out here. This is kind of three of the big ones that we just mentioned: the Canon, we mentioned the Nikon, and that's, I mean, the lenses are literally more massive than the cameras themselves, and they had incredible color science built into them. They have incredible utility, and they're very much marketed as cinema cameras. And I just think people who want to make imagery and get into this, you know, if you want to do event coverage and you're really looking for just a decent image, the phones work great for that. But if you really want to be serious about adding lenses and getting the advantage of different kinds of lenses for different kinds of shots, these things are amazing. And even with the high prices of things today,
and the better part is that you can use your older lenses and bring that in.
Absolutely.
So if you want to buy once, cry once on the body, and then use your lenses until you have the money to buy once, cry once on the lenses, and bring it from there. But yeah, it's just amazing to the days of, I had my first digital camera I actually bought off of eBay. It was an old Kodak. I actually bought two of them because they were both broken, and I Frankensteined them together for a digital camera. But then I bought a Fuji FinePix for my first real digital camera, and then of course went into the Canon lines to take pictures. But you know, you couldn't do video from there, and then of course the processor could only do like 20 minutes of video, or else it would overheat and anything like that. And then you had to buy the little iFi cards, and that was always fun to go to Vegas and have them take the their iPad, which would then airdrop to your phone for tips. And it's just all of this stuff. You don't have to do that anymore. You've got these devices that will change on a whim for you to whatever you need. And that's what's really cool about that.
It's an amazing difference since our early days of working in video. I mean, literally, the phone pictures coming out between the computational photography and the color science that they've worked on for all of these cameras, but even down to the phone level. I mean, you don't get some of the things. If you're shooting a conference and you're in the back of the room and you need a really, really long lens. Obviously, your phone isn't going to cut it for that. But that's one specific niche. That's somebody who needs a 200 millimeter or a 400 millimeter lens and sometimes a 2x extender and things like that. So you're still in the realm of big glass and big bodies that can take an image off that glass. But for the day-to-day shooting on the street and the day-to-day, I just have to capture something and put it on the web, or I want to capture my life as it goes by. The computational photography and the capability of these small things is just stunning these days. Anybody else have anything they wanted to bring up and look forward to? No, nobody's raising a hand.
Guy, you want to talk about the dock or?
Sure. Yeah. So one of the things that I got to play with before it got announced at IBC was this dock, and it's really not meant for everybody. So I'm one of those kind of special people that can take full advantage of what this thing does. So to walk you through what I had before and where I went to. So before I had a Cal Digit, and one of the bummers about these Mac Minis, if you just buy the base model, is you lack Thunderbolt ports. So once you tie one up, you only get maybe one back out. So this one had one in, one out, and then I'd get my arsenal of, Ethernet and USBs and card reader and all that. But one of the things that was tying up one of my slots was this, which is a Sonnet 10 gigabit Ethernet adapter. So what makes this one that I'm about to show so special is that it has these ports for dual 10 gig. So why is this important? If you're doing NDI or if you're doing large files like off of a HyperDeck, I have a HyperDeck Studio that I'll plug directly in here. Large files, you could connect via 10 gigabit, and that's 10 times the speed that you're used to getting. So you have 2 of those, plus you have a 2.5 gig one on the front. But then look at all these Thunderbolt ports that you get back. So you take up one, connecting it to the host, but then you get back 3, which is just incredible. So I have the device right here, and this is what it looks like. You saw a picture of it there. Man, this thing is just, it's a work of art. I actually need 2 now because I had this one. I just pulled it off my PC and I want to plug it into my Mac, because one of the other things that's going to happen in the future is I'm lucky enough to get a 10 gigabit Ethernet connection from the internet. So I pay $300 a month, and Ziply Fiber is local to my area. It's the fastest internet in the nation. It nicks to get a full 10 gigabit. So when I'm throwing my
Not
files,
fair,
And we're all jealous of you guys.
it's crazy. So when I'm doing these Zoom ISO records for people, I can just throw them up to Dropbox, and it's just like, oh, it's a 5 gig, it's a 10 gig file. Sure, it'll be there in
No big deal.
minutes. Just boom. So it's something that's coming to everybody. This is a neighborhood where they just happen to be able to roll it out, and I got lucky. So it's one of those things where it's available in certain places. San Francisco, I know, has a different provider that's also offering 10 gigabit, but this is the future. And if you need this kind of speed, it's cool to know that these options are available, especially if you did just have to go buy a computer that was at your local store and you missed out on ordering 10 gigabit and now you need it. Instead of spending, so I have a couple of these and they're 200 a whack. And then I have different ones from Atto, and the same thing, 10 gigabit. So if I hooked up 2 of these, I would tie up all my ports on my Mac. So being able to have this dock, which isn't cheap, it's $499. So it's expensive, almost as much as the computer. But now I get all this connectivity. I could hook up my Thunderbolt RAID arrays that I have, and multiple, because that was the other thing, is I was having to unplug one drive, plug the other one in, and then plug the other one back in. So now no more messing around with that. So this is a cool device that they released, and hopefully other people can take advantage of this. Oh, and the other thing is you could aggregate those 2. If you have that kind of bandwidth needs, you could do 20 gigabit. If you have a switch that's capable of pushing that kind of throughput through, like a Jellyfish or something like that, you can pull stuff down. Like, I know Alex with his immersive footage is going to be crying here pretty soon with the transfer speeds. And this is the kind of stuff that you start to go, this is going to make my life so much easier. Because imagine if you're transferring stuff at 1 gigabit now, 10 times that speed. So that's the
unbelievable. And when you were talking about, when I was talking about the Canon cameras, I was flashing back 15 more than 15 years ago to my first Canon 5D Mark II. And I think I remember reading that it was the Digic 5 or Digic 2 processor in that allowed it to do video, and that the engineers at Canon were actually surprised. They didn't realize it was going to do basic video until one of the engineers in the back room said, "Look what this thing does." And we have come so far in processing power. I mean, you look at that latest little Canon. I told you that it had like 14, 15 buttons, and they're all programmable, which is telling you something about the intelligence and the processing power of all the cameras, all the phones, everything that we're using just gets smarter and smarter and faster. And that opens up a brighter and brighter future for us. So,
Yeah, I
unless,
I love the fact that with the Thunderbolt 5, I've been testing these enclosures with the NVMe, and unfortunately, they're not doing PCIe 5.0. They're only doing PCIe 4.0. But
Yep.
getting 6 gigabits per second is just an amazing speed for that. And I got a couple of them that just amazing. They're powerhouses. Unfortunately, if you hook them into a dock, the speed reduces, so they have to be directly hooked up. And then I think there's also the bottleneck problem, where if you have other items in, it's going to go as fast as what you have plugged in there. So, but I have a couple docks that are Thunderbolt 5, and just amazing what you can do with that. And I did get the M4 with the 10 gigabit per second Ethernet in there, so I don't have to worry about that. But it'd be nice to have dual, and I'm excited about that OWC.
no matter how much speed you have, no matter how much RAM you have, no matter how much capacity you have, you look back 3 years later and you wish you probably had more, although this is luxurious. I think we're pretty much out of the questions that we've had rolling in. There are a couple of things I need to
Got
say.
one more.
Oh, you got one more? Okay, dive in, Jeffrey.
All right.
Yes.
You gotta follow that pattern there.
Yeah.
So I was thinking about this, and one more thing I did want to talk about, and that is the Stream Deck, Elgato in particular. They came out with the Stream Deck. Guy, I know you have that picture of what it was before it was a Stream Deck. And then, of course, that Stream Deck came in 2017, changed the game. Stream Deck XL changed the game. But now we've got other companies that are coming in with multi-button systems like Denistron for the high end. And then I've got this little guy from Fafine, which is the Ampla game that does a lot, almost exactly. Have a little bit of limitations. It can't hook up to BitFocus Companion, for example. But they did a lot, and last year it's just amazing from their Stream Deck Studio. They won a Best of Show at IBC with all of their stuff, and of course they have the XLR mounts in the back of their Stream Decks, and they also have the new network Stream Decks that are starting to be network Stream Deck adapters that are starting to be released out there. And then those virtual Stream Deck buttons are just amazing, so you can put a whole bunch of buttons onto a touch screen, and you need to have a Stream Deck attached to it, but you can have that screen with a whole bunch of buttons on it. So let's say you're doing I don't know, a vMix or something like that. You can, instead of touching what's going on in vMix, you can put that to the side and put a whole bunch of buttons on the screen and then control it that way. And I'm just very impressed with what Elgato's been doing in the last 365 days. And I think that they're just getting started when it comes to this multi-button
week, I'm told. We're going to be doing a special show on Audinate of Dante fame. So if you're interested in the Audinate product line, 1 week from today, same place, 6 p.m. on Tuesday, we'll be doing a show on that. And it's time for me to thank everyone who has been here today. First and foremost, Jeffrey and Guy, thank you so much for coming in and making this show possible. We can't do it without the participation of everybody on our panels. To the incredible back-end crew who are always showing up to make these shows possible, thank you guys so much, men and women back there who are taking that. And When you see the scrolls at the end of any of our shows, please pay attention to them, because without them, these shows are not possible. For Office Hours, I'm Bill Davis, and I get to say, thanks for watching.